We are being forced to pay hundreds of pounds a year, and it's got to stop. Homeowners in Milton Keynes are leading the fight against service charges, which affect thousands of homeowners across our region alone. They're issued by private companies who look after communal areas on new housing estates. Things like open spaces, playgrounds, grass verges. They're things which would traditionally be covered by your council tax. But at most new developments, it's now an extra charge written into contracts. Well, in part of Milton Keynes, residents are now refusing to pay. Nicola Hazler is there with the details tonight. Nicola.
Well, to give you a sense of what we're talking about, the grass that I'm standing on now, plus the public space down there beyond that pathway, is owned and managed by the council, and so included in your council tax. But if we walk just over here, this area of public land is owned by the developer. And as we've been hearing, residents are being asked to pay again to maintain it. Here on the Red House Park estate, residents are paying fees of £60,000 a year to have their leaves blown about and grass trimmed, on top of their council tax.
They've escalated year on year on year.
The fees apply not only to leaseholders living in flats, but also to homeowners who own their land. A management company is set up to collect the money and carry out the work.
These trees have not been attended to for probably 15 years. And if you look over my shoulder, there is one huge tree. If that ever goes down, it will take out more than one house. But no work has been done by this supposed management company that's supposed to be looking after the open spaces.
Here, Freehold, once immune from fees, is being dubbed Fleecehold.
Well, the problem is lack of accountability. They don't really get a feeling of how that money is spent and whether it's well spent. And it's a concern when they know that their neighbours are paying their council tax, and yet they're paying the same level of council tax and having to pay for this on top.
Well, green spaces on new build estates like this used to be handed over to the council, with the developer paying a lump sum up front to maintain them for about 20 years. But now, on estates in Milton Keynes, the developers are keeping hold of the green spaces and the cash and passing the maintenance fees on to the residents. The practice is now happening in new estates across the country, with many councils until now reluctant to get involved. So how has this been allowed to develop?
I think it's something that's happened almost by accident, with people not really realising what's going on. And although we probably should have picked up on this a few years ago, now we're seeing areas where this has come forward, it is being a problem. We've got to make sure that the areas that are being developed in the future don't happen in this way. And then we have to work about how to deal with the areas that are currently there.
Fleecehold has become the norm on Milton Keynes' new estates.
The developers, they've found a way to generate income at the expense of people who are hard-working people is completely unacceptable, and I'm going to place the blame on local councils who are not doing enough to protect homeowners.
What isn't very clear, I think, is what the charge is actually for, and then following on from that, you don't get explanations when you ask. When you ask and say, please could you explain this bill, that's quite challenging.
Residents say they've tried repeatedly to meet the management company to discuss the charge. Until that happens, some are refusing to pay it. Well, the developer of Red House Park estate, Avant Homes, told us that when residents buy their homes, they are given the details of the services provided by its management company and the costs, and that they will contact residents in due course about their concerns. But what residents have been telling us is that the costs are rising year after year, and that there's no legislation in place to monitor what the management companies can charge.